They should have killed me when they had the chance, because the moment I walked into that restaurant and sat across from the wrong man, I became far more dangerous than any Omega they'd ever feared. I didn't know that yet, of course. All I knew was that my feet hurt, my wolf was a silent, wounded thing curled up somewhere dark inside me, and I had exactly $43 in my checking account until Friday. The restaurant smelled like grease and broken dreams. Perfect. I slid into the cracked vinyl booth and pulled out my phone, reading Sarah's text for the third time. His name's David. Tall, dark hair, gray suit. He's nice, Luna. Give him a chance. Nice. What a word. Marcus had been nice, too, right up until he stood in front of the entire pack and said the words that shattered my world. I reject you as my mate. 6 months ago. Might as well have been yesterday. I pressed my fingers against my eyes, willing myself not to cry. Not here. Not tonight. Tonight I was going to pretend to be normal. Pretend my wolf wasn't broken. Pretend I wasn't one bad shift away from going feral. The door opened. My wolf stirred, actually stirred, for the first time in months. He walked in like he owned the place. No, like he owned the whole damn city. Tall, dark-haired, wearing a gray suit that probably cost more than my rent. But it wasn't the suit that made my breath catch. It was him. Pine and winter storms. His scent hit me like a physical force, rich and wild and so powerful my damaged wolf whimpered and pressed against my consciousness, desperate and yearning. He scanned the room with eyes that gleamed gold even in the dim light, and when his gaze landed on me, everything else fell away. Those eyes. God, those eyes. Ancient and knowing and far too intense for a blind date at a place called Rosie's Diner. He crossed to my booth without hesitation and sat down across from me, moving with a predator's grace. My mouth went dry. "Hi," I managed. "David?" He didn't answer right away. Just studied me with an expression I couldn't read, surprise, maybe, mixed with something that made my skin heat. "You're not what I expected," he finally said. His voice was deep, rough silk. I laughed nervously. "Yeah, well, Sarah probably oversold me. She's a good friend that way." I twisted my napkin between my fingers. "I'm Luna. Luna Ashwood. Luna." He said my name like he was tasting it. Unusual name. My parents were hippies. The lie came automatically. The truth, that I was named for the moon goddess, because they'd thought I'd be special, hurt too much. "So, what do you do?" "Sarah said you work in, was it finance?" "Something like that." His gaze hadn't left my face. "What do you do, Luna?" "I'm a barista. At Morning Brew on 5th Street. I didn't mention the weekend shifts at the grocery store or the overnight data entry job. It's not glamorous, but I like it. People come in looking exhausted, and I give them coffee that makes them smile. Small victories, right?" Why was I babbling? And why was he looking at me like that? "Do you live nearby?" he asked. "About 20 minutes from here. Crappy studio apartment above a dry cleaner." "Stop talking, Luna. Stop being so pathetically honest. It's temporary. Everything's temporary right now." Something flickered across his face. "Why temporary?" And just like that, 6 months of holding it together cracked open. "Because 6 months ago, my mate rejected me in front of our entire pack," I heard myself say. Then his new girlfriend, the alpha's daughter, had me banished for disrupting pack harmony. Which really meant she couldn't stand looking at me. So now I'm rogue, which is basically wolf speak for unemployable and fair game for anyone who wants to mess with a lone Omega. I work 3 jobs to afford that apartment above the dry cleaner, my wolf is broken, and some nights I can't remember why I'm fighting to survive. The silence that followed was deafening. His expression had gone very still. Very dangerous. "You're a rejected Omega," he said quietly. "Without pack protection." "Yeah." I laughed, but it came out bitter. Not great dinner conversation, huh? Sarah's going to kill me. I'm supposed to be charming and mysterious, not trauma dumping on. Who rejected you? The question was soft, but something in his tone made my wolf press against my skin. Does it matter? Yes. I met those golden eyes. Beta Marcus of the Silvercrest Pack. He was my fated mate. Turned out fate has a sick sense of humor. And the Alpha allowed your banishment. Alpha Richard does whatever his daughter wants. Sarah wanted me gone, so. I shrugged like it didn't still hurt. Like I hadn't spent 3 weeks sleeping in my car before I could afford that studio apartment. He leaned back, and I could have sworn the temperature in the room dropped. You shouldn't be telling me this, he said. I know. I looked down at my hands. I don't know why I am. Maybe because you're a stranger, and tomorrow you'll be gone, and it won't matter. Or maybe because I'm just so tired of pretending I'm okay when I'm not. Luna. The door chimed. A man strode in, tall and broad-shouldered, scanning the restaurant with the same predatory awareness as my date. His eyes landed on our booth, and he headed straight for us. You're Maj. Darius. The word cracked like a whip. My date stood smoothly, and suddenly he seemed bigger, more commanding. You're late. The newcomer, Darius, blinked. Glanced at me. Back to my date. I apologize. The situation took longer to assess than anticipated. We'll discuss it outside. He turned to me, and his expression softened fractionally. Excuse me for a moment. They moved toward the door, and I heard low, urgent voices. My phone buzzed. Sarah, how's it going? Another text popped up. Unknown number. Sorry, can't make it. Emergency. Rain check. David. I stared at the message. Then at the 2 men by the door. Then back at the message. Oh God. That wasn't David. I'd been pouring my heart out to a complete stranger who'd been too polite, or too confused, to correct me. Heat flooded my face. I grabbed my purse, ready to bolt, but he was already walking back to the table. I have to apologize, he said. I'm not. David. I know. He just texted. I stood, fumbling for my wallet. I'm so sorry. You must think I'm insane. I'll just have dinner with me. I froze. What? You came here for dinner. He gestured to the booth. Stay. Have dinner with me. You don't have to pity me just because. It's not pity. He stepped closer, and that scent washed over me again, making my wolf keen with longing. I'd like to continue our conversation. Why? Because you interest me. His mouth curved slightly. And it's been a long time since anyone has. I should say no. This man was clearly someone important, the way Darius had nearly addressed him, the power radiating from him. Way out of my league. But I was so tired of being alone. Okay, I whispered. His smile was devastating. Good. We sat back down. He ordered wine, expensive wine, the kind I'd only ever seen Marcus's pack serve at formal dinners, and we talked. Really talked. He asked about my life before everything fell apart, and I found myself telling him about growing up in Silvercrest, about my parents who died when I was 16, about the books I loved and the places I dreamed of visiting someday. He listened like every word mattered. And when he talked, carefully, revealing little but making every word count, I got the sense of someone powerful and lonely, carrying weight I couldn't imagine. We should go, he said finally, checking an expensive watch. Before they try to charge us rent for the booth. I laughed. Actually laughed. When had I last done that? He paid before I could even reach for my purse, and we walked toward the door together. That's when I saw them. Through the window. Standing on the sidewalk outside. Marcus and Sarah. My heart stopped. Marcus's eyes locked on mine through the glass, and I watched the color drain from his face. Because the man beside me had turned his head at that moment, and even through the window, even in the dim streetlight, Marcus clearly recognized him. His expression went from shock to absolute terror. "Luna," my companion said quietly, "are those my former packmates?" My voice sounded distant to my own ears. "The ones who rejected and banished me." He went very still beside me. When he spoke again, his voice held an edge that made my wolf cower in submission at the same time. "Then I think," he said, opening the door for me, "we should give them something to think about." And as we walked out together, me and this mysterious, powerful stranger whose name I still didn't know, Marcus stumbled backward like he'd been struck. I didn't understand. Not yet. But I would soon learn that the man I'd accidentally had dinner with was Alpha King Cale Thorne, ruler of the Northern Territories. And Marcus had just realized that the broken Omega he'd thrown away had somehow ended up beside the most powerful wolf in the territory. Wanting to see what would happen next, subscribe to this channel to get to listen to more of our upcoming exciting stories. Click on the subscribe button now. Thank you. Chapter 2. The rooftop garden shouldn't have existed. Luna stood at the edge of paradise, 20 stories above the city, surrounded by climbing roses and night-blooming jasmine. Fairy lights tangled through the greenery like captured stars, and the city sprawled below us like a carpet of diamonds. "How did you even find this place?" I breathed. Cale, I still thought his name was David, stood beside me, hands in his pockets. The wind caught his dark hair, and in the soft light, he looked almost otherworldly. "I have my ways," he said, that slight smile playing at his lips again. "That's not an answer." "No," he agreed. "It's not." I should have pressed. Should have questioned why a supposed finance guy had access to a secret rooftop garden that clearly cost more to maintain than my entire year's salary. But I was too caught up in the magic of it, the first real moment of peace I'd felt in 6 months. My wolf, that broken thing inside me, had finally stopped whimpering. She was still damaged, still weak, but for the first time since Marcus's rejection, she wasn't screaming in pain. "You're staring," I said, catching him watching me again. "You look different up here," he said. "Lighter." "I feel different." I turned to face him fully. "I don't understand what's happening. I don't know you, not really, but I feel safer with you than I've felt in months." "That doesn't make sense." Something flickered in those golden eyes. "Perhaps it makes perfect sense." "How?" Instead of answering, he gestured to a small table set up near the roses. 2 glasses of wine waited, along with a spread of food that definitely hadn't come from Rosie's diner. "You planned this," I said. "Before you even knew if I'd say yes." "I hoped." He pulled out a chair for me, and his hand brushed my lower back, barely a touch, but it sent electricity racing through me. "Sit. Eat. Tell me more about Luna Ashwood. There's not much to tell that you don't already know." I settled into the chair, hyper-aware of him sitting across from me. Orphaned at 16. Raised by the pack. Worked hard, kept my head down, waited for my mate to find me. And then he did, and my throat closed. "And he was a fool," Cale said quietly. "He said I was too weak for a beta. That I'd be a liability." The words still cut. Maybe he was right. Look at me now, 3 jobs, barely surviving, my wolf so broken I can barely shift without feeling like I'm dying. "Luna." He reached across the table, and his hand covered mine. His touch was warm, solid, real. "Look at me." I did. "You are not weak," he said, and there was something in his voice, command, certainty, absolute conviction. "You survived rejection, banishment, and 6 months alone in a city that should have destroyed you. You work 3 jobs. You smile at strangers and make their coffee. You're still standing. That's not weakness." Tears pricked my eyes. "Then why does it feel like I'm always one step from falling apart?" Because you're carrying wounds that haven't healed. That doesn't make you weak. That makes you wounded. There's a difference. I pulled my hand back, swiping at my eyes. You don't talk like a finance guy. His expression shifted, something almost like guilt. What do I talk like? Someone who's seen too much. Someone who understands power and loss. I picked up my wine glass, watching the light play through the red liquid. Someone who's probably way too good to be true. I'm not. Don't. I cut him off. Don't tell me you're not too good to be true. Let me have this night without reality crashing in. Please. He studied me for a long moment, then nodded slowly. One night. We ate. We talked. He asked careful questions, and I found myself spilling pieces of my history I'd never told anyone. How my parents died in a rogue attack, how the pack took me in but never let me forget I was Charity, how I'd dreamed of traveling to Scotland and seeing the Highlands. Why Scotland? He asked. My dad used to tell me stories about it. Said our family came from there, generations ago. I don't know if it's true, but I liked imagining it, that somewhere far away, there was a place where I belonged. You could go, he said. Nothing's stopping you. Except money, a passport, and the fact that rogue wolves aren't exactly welcomed across international borders. I laughed, but it came out sad. It's a nice dream, though. Dreams are important. His gaze was intense. They remind us what we're fighting for. What are you fighting for? I asked. He was quiet for so long I thought he wouldn't answer. Finally, I thought I knew. Now I'm not so sure. The vulnerability in those words hit me square in the chest. Tell me about your rejection, he said softly. If you can. If it's not too painful. And God help me, I did. I told him about feeling the mate bond snap into place the moment I turned 21, about the joy that had flooded through me when I realized Marcus was mine. About the 3 months we'd spent together before he brought me to the pack gathering and stood in front of everyone. I thought he was going to announce our mating, I whispered. I was so happy, I couldn't see the truth. But when I looked around the room, nobody would meet my eyes. And then he said the words. Cale's hand had clenched into a fist on the table. I reject you as my mate, I continued. Just like that. No explanation, no warning. The bond broke, and it felt like dying. My wolf, she screamed. She howled. And then she just broke. Something inside her shattered, and she's been wrong ever since. Weak. Feral sometimes. Like she's dying by inches. That's not supposed to happen, Cale said, and there was anger in his voice now. Rejection is painful, yes, but it shouldn't damage your wolf permanently. Unless. Unless what? He shook his head sharply. It doesn't matter. What happened next? Sarah appeared at his side. Alpha Richard's daughter. Beautiful, powerful, everything an Omega isn't. Marcus took her hand, and I understood, he'd found someone better. Someone worthy. The old pain throbbed. The pack turned on me after that. Sarah couldn't stand having me around, a reminder of what Marcus had thrown away. So she convinced her father to banish me for disturbing the peace. I had 3 days to leave. That's illegal, Cale said flatly. I blinked. What? Banishing a wolf without a formal hearing, without evidence of wrongdoing, that's illegal under territorial law. Alpha Richard violated his charter. How do you know that? He caught himself. I work with contracts. Legal documents. I see a lot of corporate law. It was a lie. I could tell it was a lie. But I didn't call him on it because I didn't want this night to end. Doesn't matter now, I said. It's done. I'm rogue. And according to every wolf I've met since, I'm damaged goods. No pack will take me. No wolf will want me. I'm alone until I'm not strong enough to be alone anymore. No. The word came out hard. Cale stood abruptly, moving around the table. He knelt beside my chair, taking both my hands in his. Listen to me, Luna. You are not damaged goods. You are not too weak. And you are not alone. You don't understand. I understand that you've been fed lies by wolves who should have protected you. His eyes blazed. You are stronger than you know. And when you heal, when your wolf heals, you'll be magnificent. You can't know that. I can. His thumb stroked over my knuckles. I've seen enough wolves to recognize strength. It's in everything you do. The way you survive. The way you still find things to smile about. The way you treated a stranger in a diner with kindness even though you had every reason to be bitter and closed off. My chest felt too tight. Why are you being so nice to me? Because you deserve niceness. He reached up, brushing a strand of hair from my face. Because you're extraordinary and you don't even see it. We were so close. His scent wrapped around me, pine and winter storms, and my wolf pushed toward the surface, yearning. His gaze dropped to my lips. Luna, he murmured. I leaned in, helpless to stop myself. His mouth was an inch from mine when panic hit. I jerked back, nearly falling out of the chair. I can't. I'm sorry, I can't. Cale froze, then carefully pulled back, giving me space. It's all right. It's not all right. I want to, but my voice broke. I can't handle being hurt again. I can't survive another rejection. And when you get to know me, really know me, you'll see what Marcus saw. That I'm not enough. Luna. He stood, offering his hand. When I took it, he pulled me to my feet, but he didn't try to pull me close. I'm going to tell you something, and I need you to believe me. Okay. I would never hurt you. His golden eyes held mine, and there was something ancient in them, something that spoke of oaths and honor. I know we just met. I know you have no reason to trust me. But I swear to you, on everything I am, I will never reject you. I will never make you feel less than you are. And I will never, ever abandon you. The certainty in his voice made my wolf settle completely for the first time in 6 months. Why? I whispered. Because you matter. He squeezed my hand gently. And because I haven't felt this human in years. I didn't understand what he meant by that, but I didn't need to. I believed him. We stayed on that rooftop for hours, talking and laughing and slowly healing something broken in both of us. When he finally walked me home, insisting on it despite my protests, he stopped outside my building. Can I see you again? He asked. Yes. No hesitation. He smiled, and it transformed his face. Give me your phone. I handed it over, and he typed in his number. When he gave it back, I saw he'd saved himself as David, not David. I laughed. Should I ask what your real name is? Not yet, he said softly. Let me have a little more time being just a man, not everything else. I should have pushed. Should have demanded answers. Instead, I went up on my toes and kissed his cheek. Good night, David, not David. Good night, Luna. I fell asleep that night with my phone clutched to my chest, smiling for the first time in months. The morning shattered everything. I'm sorry, Luna, but I have to let you go. I stared at my manager, Tom, across his tiny office at Morning Brew. What? Why? He wouldn't meet my eyes. Someone important made it clear you shouldn't be working here anymore. My stomach dropped. Someone important? Who? I can't say. But they were very insistent. He pushed an envelope across the desk. Here's your final paycheck, plus 2 weeks severance. I'm sorry. You were a good employee. I took the envelope with numb fingers. Tom, I need this job. I have rent due. I know. I'm sorry. There was nothing else to say. I walked out of Morning Brew in a daze, my mind spinning. Who would do this? Why? Luna. I looked up and found Marcus standing on the sidewalk, waiting. Everything clicked into place. You. The word came out hard. You got me fired. He had the grace to look uncomfortable. I need to talk to you. About how you destroyed my life again. No thanks. I tried to push past him. He caught my arm. This is serious. What were you doing with the Alpha King? I froze. The what? Don't play dumb. You were seen with him last night. Half the territory is talking about it. I don't know what you're talking about. I yanked my arm free. I was on a date with a guy named David. A finance guy. Not, I stopped. Alpha King? You're insane. Marcus studied my face, and his expression shifted from anger to something worse, pity. You really don't know. My God, you really don't know who he is. Ice flooded my veins. Who is he, Marcus? Cale Thorne. Alpha King of the Northern Territories. The most powerful wolf alive. He ran a hand through his hair. How did you even meet him? How did you ensnare him? I didn't ensnare anyone. But my mind was reeling. Alpha King. The power I'd sensed. The way Darius had nearly called him, Your Majesty. The illegal rooftop garden. Oh God. He told me his name was David. He lied to you. And now you're caught up in something you can't handle. Marcus grabbed my shoulders. Listen to me. Stay away from him. If he finds out what you really are. What I really am. I'm a rejected Omega. You're more than that, and you know it. Your bloodline. I don't have a bloodline. I'm an orphan. Luna. Marcus's grip tightened. Stay away from the Alpha King, or I'll tell him the truth. That you're a broken Omega who'll only bring him shame. That you're damaged, feral, a liability. I'll make sure he never looks at you again. The threat hit like a physical blow. Why are you doing this? Because I'm trying to protect you from something worse. Protect me? I laughed bitterly. You rejected me. You had me banished. You got me fired this morning. That's not protection, Marcus. That's cruelty. Luna, listen. Get away from her. We both turned. Sarah stood a few feet away, her perfect face twisted with something that looked like fear. Sarah, I need to make her understand. Not here. Not now. She grabbed his arm, pulling him away. But as they left, I heard her hiss. If the Alpha King discovers what her bloodline really is, he won't protect her, he'll lock her up. Let it go. They disappeared into the crowd, leaving me standing alone on the sidewalk, my world tilting on its axis. What bloodline? What was everyone keeping from me? I stumbled home, my mind a mess of questions and fears. Alpha King. Cale Thorne. The man who'd promised to never hurt me was the most powerful wolf in the territory, and he'd lied about everything. But even as hurt and confusion warred in my chest, I remembered the way he'd looked at me. The vulnerability in his voice. The genuine care. Had that been a lie too? My phone buzzed. David, not David, I can't stop thinking about last night. Can I see you tomorrow? My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I should tell him I knew. Should demand the truth. Instead, I typed, I'd like that. But I need you to be honest with me. The response came immediately, I will be. I promise. Another lie? Or the truth finally coming to light? I fell onto my bed, staring at the ceiling, my heart and mind at war. Cale stood in his private study, staring at his phone like it might detonate. You're playing a dangerous game, Your Majesty. He didn't turn at Darius's voice. I know. The council is in an uproar. Lady Moira has already begun investigating the Omega. Her name is Luna. The Omega you lied to about your identity. Darius moved closer. The Omega who was photographed with you last night by 12 different sources. The rumors have already started. Cale finally looked at his beta. What kind of rumors? That you have a secret lover. That you're courting an Omega. Lady Moira is livid, she's been trying to match you with her daughter for 3 years. Let her be livid. Cale. Darius rarely used his first name. What are you doing? I don't know. Cale ran a hand through his hair. She doesn't know who I am. She thinks I'm just a man. And for the first time in decades, I felt like a man. Not a crown. Not a burden. Just me. And when she finds out the truth, she'll hate me. The words tasted bitter. But I'll tell her tomorrow. I'll explain everything. Will you? Darius challenged. Or will you find another excuse to stay in this fantasy a little longer? Before Cale could answer, a knock sounded. His head archivist, ancient and stooped, entered carrying a leather-bound volume. Your Majesty. You asked me to research the Omega's background. Cale's stomach tightened. What did you find? The archivist laid the volume on the desk, opening to a page marked with faded ribbon. Luna Ashwood sent signature matches one recorded in our archives. The Silver Moon line. The room went cold. That's impossible, Cale said. The Silver Moon line was wiped out 300 years ago. Apparently not. The archivist pointed to a family tree, names connected by delicate lines. The last recorded Silver Moon Omega was killed by order of your great-grandfather, King Aldrich. He declared them too dangerous to live. Darius swore softly. Silver Moon Omegas could challenge Alphas. They had power that defied hierarchy. They were extinct, Cale repeated. How is Luna? Someone hit her. The archivist turned more pages. There are no records of her parents. No birth certificate filed with any pack. She simply appeared in Silvercrest Pack's registry at age 16, orphaned. Someone erased her history. Cale's mind raced. Luna didn't know. She had no idea what she was, what power potentially slept inside her. Power his great-grandfather had killed to suppress. Your Majesty, the archivist said quietly, there's precedent for how to handle this situation. The law states. I know what the law states. Cale's voice came out harsh. The law said Silver Moon bloodlines were to be contained. Controlled. Locked away for the security of the realm. His phone buzzed with Luna's text, I'd like that. But I need you to be honest with me. His chest ached as he typed his response, knowing it was another lie. But tomorrow. Tomorrow he'd tell her everything. He stared at the bloodline chart, at the notation next to the last Silver Moon Omega's name, executed for the security of the realm by order of King Aldrich Thorn. His great-grandfather had murdered them all. And now Cale had fallen for the one who'd survived. Wanting to see what would happen next, subscribe to this channel to get to listen to more of our upcoming exciting stories. Click on the subscribe button now. Thank you. Chapter 3. The cabin was a lie wrapped in luxury. I stood on the wraparound porch, watching dawn paint the mountains gold, and tried to reconcile the man I'd spent the night talking with and the pristine wilderness retreat that apparently belonged to him. You must be secretly rich, I said when Cale emerged with 2 mugs of coffee. He handed me one, his fingers brushing mine. That electric spark jumped between us again, the one that had been building since our first date. Define rich, he said. Private mountain cabin with heated floors, a wine cellar, and what I'm pretty sure is original artwork on the walls. I gestured at the stunning view. This doesn't exactly scream, finance guy. I do well. He leaned against the railing beside me, close enough that his warmth soaked into my side. Does it bother you? That you have money? No. That you keep deflecting my questions? I looked at him over the rim of my mug. A little. Something flickered across his face, guilt, maybe, or resignation. Luna. I'm kidding. I wasn't, not entirely, but I didn't want to ruin this. The past 24 hours had been perfect. He'd picked me up yesterday afternoon in a car that cost more than I'd make in 5 years, drove us into the mountains, and we'd spent the evening cooking dinner together, laughing, talking, slowly circling this thing building between us. I don't care about money. I care that you're here. His expression softened. I'm here. Good. I set my mug down on the railing. Because I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest. He went very still. All right. This thing between us. I gestured between our bodies. Is it real for you? Because it's real for me, and that terrifies me. I swore after Marcus that I'd never let anyone close enough to hurt me again. But here you are, and I can't seem to stop myself from falling. Cale set his own mug down and turned to face me fully. It's real, Luna. More real than anything I've felt in longer than I can remember. Even though I'm broken? You're not broken. He reached up, cupping my face in his hands. You're healing. There's a difference. My wolf is still damaged. Your wolf is stronger today than she was 3 days ago. I can feel it. He was right. My wolf had been stirring more and more, pushing against my consciousness with something that felt almost like anticipation. Like she was waiting for something. How can you feel that? I whispered. Instead of answering, Cale lowered his head and kissed me. The world exploded. His mouth was gentle at first, testing, asking permission. I granted it by pressing closer, my hands fisting in his shirt. He made a low sound in his throat and deepened the kiss, one hand sliding into my hair, the other wrapping around my waist to pull me flush against him. Heat flooded through me, electric and wild. But it was more than desire, it was recognition. My wolf surged to the surface with a force that made me gasp against his mouth, and for the first time in 6 months, she didn't howl in pain. She sang. Power rushed through my veins, foreign and exhilarating. The necklace I'd worn since childhood, a simple silver chain I never took off, grew suddenly hot against my skin. Cale jerked back, his eyes wide and blazing gold. Luna, what? I don't know. I pressed a hand to my chest, feeling my wolf thrashing inside me, but not with pain. With joy. With strength. Something's happening. My wolf, she's growing stronger. Cale's voice was rough. He stared at me like he was seeing me for the first time. Your power. God, Luna, I can feel your power. I don't have power. I'm an Omega. You're more than that. He reached for me again, but stopped himself. I can feel it. Something's changing in you. The necklace cooled. My wolf settled, but she felt different now. More present. More whole. I don't understand, I said. Neither do I. But there was something in his expression, knowledge, maybe, or suspicion. But we'll figure it out. Together. I wanted to believe him. Wanted to trust that this man who still hadn't told me his real name would help me navigate whatever was happening to me. Instead, I kissed him again. We spent the morning tangled together on the couch, learning each other, building something that felt too fragile and too powerful at the same time. He touched me like I was precious. I touched him like he was salvation. And my wolf grew stronger with every moment. I could stay here forever, I murmured against his chest. His heartbeat was steady under my ear, grounding. Just us, no outside world. His arms tightened around me. Luna. A phone rang. Not mine, his. The tone was different, harsh and urgent. Cale tensed. I need to take this. He extracted himself carefully and walked to the other room. I heard his voice, low and commanding. What is it? I shouldn't eavesdrop. I should give him privacy. I crept closer to the doorway. Confirmed casualties? Cale's voice had changed, gone cold and authoritative. Darius, I need numbers. How many dead? How many injured? My blood went cold. No, contain it. Don't let word spread yet. I'll return within the hour. A pause. I know what this means. Someone's testing our defenses. The question is who? He hung up. When he turned, he found me standing in the doorway. Luna. Who died? I asked. He ran a hand through his hair, and for the first time since I'd met him, he looked tired. Burdened. There was an attack on a pack in my territory. Several wolves were killed. Your territory? The words stuck in my throat. David, what do you do exactly? He met my eyes. We need to talk. No. I stepped back. No, we need to talk right now. No more deflecting, no more half-truths. Who are you? Luna. The truth. My wolf was agitated now, sensing my distress. You promised you'd be honest with me. So be honest. Who are you? Kale stood there, this beautiful, powerful man who'd made me feel whole again, and I watched him war with himself. Finally, he said, my name is Kale Thorne. I'm the Alpha King of the Northern Territories. The world stopped. I stared at him, waiting for the punchline, for the explanation that would make this make sense. It didn't come. Alpha King, I repeated. The Alpha King. The most powerful wolf in the territory. That Alpha King. Yes. And you let me, I couldn't finish. Couldn't process. I told you everything. I cried in front of you about being a broken Omega, about being banished, about being too weak for a Beta. And you're the Alpha King. Luna, please. You lied to me. The words came out broken. You sat across from me in that diner and you lied. I didn't plan it. He took a step toward me. You thought I was your date, and I was curious, and then you started talking and I couldn't walk away. You were so genuine, so real, and I haven't had real in so long. So you let me humiliate myself? I was shaking now. Let me pour out my pathetic life story to royalty while I thought you were just some normal guy who might actually want broken, banished me? I do want you. His voice cracked. That's what I'm trying to tell you, everything between us was real. The lie was only my name. Your name is the only thing I asked for. I shouted. You let me believe I was finally normal, that someone ordinary could want me. But there's nothing ordinary about this, is there? About you. There's nothing ordinary about you either, Luna. He moved closer, and I could see desperation in his eyes. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You're not what you think you are. Stop. I pressed my hands to my ears. Just stop. I can't, I need to think. I need to. I shifted. The transformation ripped through me, and for the first time in months, it didn't hurt. My wolf burst free, stronger than she'd been since before the rejection, and I ran. Behind me, Kale shouted my name, but I was already gone, tearing through the forest like the hounds of hell were on my heels. Maybe they were. I ran until my lungs burned, until my paws bled, until I couldn't tell if the howling I heard was the wind or my own broken heart. I didn't see the patrol until they surrounded me. 5 wolves, massive and coordinated, appeared from the trees. One of them shifted, a hard-faced woman with silver-streaked hair. You're trespassing in the Alpha King's territory, she said. Surrender. I shifted back, naked and vulnerable in the cold. I'm not, I was just. You're the rogue. Her eyes narrowed. The one who's been consorting with His Majesty. You're under arrest. Arrest? For what? Trespassing. Possible espionage. Attempting to manipulate the Alpha King. She nodded to her packmates. Take her. They didn't give me a chance to explain. Didn't give me clothes. Just herded me, shivering and humiliated, through the forest to a massive stone structure that rose from the mountainside like something out of a fairy tale. The castle. They threw me into a cell deep in the dungeons, actual dungeons, and locked the door. I collapsed against the wall, pulling my knees to my chest, and let myself break. He'd lied. He'd lied, and I'd fallen for it, and now I was locked in a dungeon like the rogue trash everyone had always said I was. Well, a dry voice said from the shadows, "You're certainly making an entrance." I jerked my head up. In the cell across from mine, an elderly woman sat on a narrow cot, watching me with keen dark eyes. "Who are you?" I managed. "Talia Greaves. Former elder of Silvercrest Pack." She tilted her head, studying me. "And you're Luna Ashwood, though that's not your real name, is it?" I froze. "What?" "You're sent." She stood slowly, moving to the bars. I haven't smelled it in 23 years, but I'd know it anywhere. Silvermoon. The word hung in the air between us. "I don't know what you're talking about," I said. "Don't you?" She gripped the bars. "Tell me, child, have you always worn that necklace?" My hand went automatically to the silver chain. "Since I was a child. The Pack Alpha gave it to me after my parents died." "Did he tell you what it was?" A gift. A way to remember them." Talia laughed bitterly. "A gift. Yes, I suppose that's one way to describe a spelled suppression collar." The cell spun. "A what?" "Your parents didn't die, Luna. They were murdered. Killed when you were 6 months old because someone discovered what you were, the last of the Silvermoon bloodline. Omegas born once a century with power that defied the natural hierarchy. Power that could challenge alphas themselves. That's insane. I'm weak. You're suppressed." Talia pointed at my necklace. "That collar has been dampening your true nature since childhood. Alpha Richard and his mate didn't take you in out of kindness. They took you in to control you. To keep you weak and compliant until they could figure out what to do with you." My mind reeled. Why would they do that? "Because when you turn 25, your full power manifests. And they couldn't allow that. So they arranged for you to be rejected by your fated mate, to break your spirit before your power could emerge." Marcus knew. Sarah knew. They all knew. I touched the necklace with shaking fingers. "You're lying." "Am I?" She leaned closer. "Tell me something, child. Has your wolf been growing stronger lately? Has your power been leaking through?" The kiss. The surge of strength. The way my wolf had sung instead of howled. "When did it start?" Talia asked. 3 days ago, I whispered. "When I met, I couldn't say his name. The collar's been hot. My wolf's been different. The spell is cracking. Your power is breaking through." Talia's expression was grave. "In 2 years, when you turn 25, nothing will be able to contain you. You'll be the most powerful Omega alive." "But I don't want power." The words burst out of me. "I just want to be normal. I just want someone to love me without it being complicated. There's nothing normal about you, Luna Ashwood. There never was." She sat back down. "The question is, what will you do with that power when it's fully yours?" Before I could answer, footsteps thundered down the corridor. The cell door slammed open. Kale stood there, fury radiating from every line of his body. "Who gave the order to imprison her?" he demanded of the guards behind him. "Captain Soren, Your Majesty. She was found trespassing. She was my guest." His voice cracked like a whip. "Release her. Now." They scrambled to obey. Kale strode into the cell, and I saw him take in my state, naked, shivering, eyes red from crying. Something dangerous flickered across his face. "Who didn't give her clothes?" he asked softly. We didn't think." "Get out." He shrugged off his jacket and wrapped it around my shoulders. All of you. Out. They fled. Kale knelt in front of me, his hands gentle on my shoulders. Luna, I'm so sorry. I didn't know they'd brought you here. I was handling the attack, and by the time I realized you'd been taken. Your family killed them all, I said. He froze. The Silvermoons. Your family hunted them down and killed them. I looked at him, this powerful Alpha King kneeling before me. Talia told me everything. What I am. What I'm supposed to become. Kale's jaw tightened. Luna. If you knew what I was. My voice broke. Would you kill me too? He opened his mouth to answer. And said nothing. The silence stretched between us, thick and suffocating. My wolf howled in anguish. We'd thought, that maybe this one would be different. That maybe Kale Thorne, Alpha King, the man who'd promised never to hurt me, would be the one to finally choose us. But his hesitation told me everything. Luna, it's not that simple. An explosion rocked the castle. The walls shook. Dust rained from the ceiling. Alarm bells began to ring. Darius burst into the dungeon. Your Majesty. We're under attack. It's not just a raid, it's an army. Who? Kale demanded, already moving, already becoming the king instead of the man who'd kissed me on a mountain. Silvercrest pack wolves. At least 50 of them. Darius's eyes flicked to me. They're demanding we surrender the Omega. Kale went very still. What? The attack on your pack was a diversion. They've been planning this. Darius pulled out his phone, showing Kale something that made his expression go murderous. Lady Moira is with them. She's formed an alliance with Beta Marcus and Alpha Richard's daughter. Sarah. They're calling for the Omega's execution, Darius continued. Claiming she's a threat to territorial stability. That her bloodline is too dangerous to allow to live. My blood turned to ice. Kale looked at me, and I saw the war in his eyes, duty versus desire, law versus love, king versus man. Your Majesty, Darius pressed. What are your orders? Another explosion, closer this time. The castle shuddered. Talia's voice cut through the chaos. Choose carefully, young king. This moment will define your reign. Kale's hand found mine. Squeezed once. Then he turned to Darius and said 5 words that changed everything. We protect her. At all costs. If you're still listening to this story up to this point, why don't you subscribe to this channel to continue getting impactful daily stories like this? We would be most grateful if you can do that to help boost this video to reach everyone. Thank you. Chapter 4. The castle was falling apart around us. I stood in the center of the throne room, Kale's jacket still wrapped around me, and felt my power surge with every explosion that rocked the walls. It wasn't like anything I'd experienced before, not the gentle stirring from our kiss, but a wildfire racing through my veins, uncontrolled and terrifying. They've breached the outer walls. Lady Moira is demanding an audience. Tell her to go to hell, Kale said without looking away from me. She's not alone. She has 12 pack alphas with her. They're invoking the territorial accords. You're required to hear their petition. Kale's jaw clenched. How many of our allies have arrived? 8 packs have declared for you. But 18 are undecided. They're waiting to see. The guard's eyes flicked to me. To see what you'll do about the Omega. Her name is Luna, Kale said coldly. Another explosion shook the castle, closer this time. Through the tall windows, I could see wolves fighting in the courtyard, Kale's guards against Silvercrest pack warriors. We can't hold them off forever, Darius said grimly. The other packs will join the winning side. Right now, they see us as divided. Weak. Then we show them strength. Kale turned to his beta. Summon everyone to the throne room. All the pack leaders, all the assembled wolves. If Moira wants an audience, she'll get one. Your Majesty, if they see the Omega. That's the point. Kale's voice was steel. No more hiding. No more lies. We end this now. Talia's voice carried from where guards had escorted her into the room. Brave words, young king. But are you prepared for what comes next? When you stand beside her publicly, there's no going back. I know. Kale looked at me, and something in his expression made my heart clench. Luna, I need to ask you something, and I need you to answer honestly. I nodded, not trusting my voice. Do you want this? Any of this? He gestured at the chaos around us. The crown, the politics, the target on your back? Because if you don't, I'll get you out of here right now. I'll give you money, papers, safe passage to anywhere in the world. You can walk away from all of it. And leave you to fight this alone? I've been alone for a long time. I can handle it. But you shouldn't have to. The words surprised me, but they felt true. You asked me earlier if this was real for me. It is. Even though you lied, even though you're an alpha king and I'm just. Don't. His hand came up to cup my face. Don't diminish yourself. Not now. Not ever again. Then don't send me away. I turned my face into his palm. Whatever happens next, we face it together. The doors burst open. Lady Moira swept in, resplendent in silver and white, flanked by a dozen powerful alphas I didn't recognize. Behind them came Marcus and Sarah, both in chains but walking with their heads high. My power flared at the sight of them, silver light crackling around my fingers. Your Majesty. Moira's voice was silk over iron. How kind of you to finally grant us an audience. You're attacking my home, Moira. This isn't a social call. Kale moved slightly, positioning himself between me and the assembled wolves. State your purpose. We've come for the Silver Moon. Moira's eyes locked on me, cold and calculating. Surely you see that she cannot be allowed to live. The laws your great-grandfather established are 300 years old and born from genocide. Kale cut her off. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. More wolves were filing into the throne room now, pack leaders, soldiers, courtiers. Everyone wanted to see how this would end. Be that as it may, one of the alphas said, the law is clear. Silvermoon bloodlines are to be contained or eliminated. For the security of the realm. Whose security? I found my voice, surprised by how steady it sounded. Yours? Because you're afraid an Omega might be more powerful than you? You don't understand what you are, Sarah spoke up, her beautiful face twisted with something that might have been fear or rage. Your kind could enslave alphas with a thought. Could corrupt pack bonds, turn wolves against their leaders. You're a weapon, Luna. That's all you'll ever be. Is that what you told yourself? I stepped forward, and the crowd parted before me. The silver light was still dancing across my skin, but it felt more controlled now. More mine. When you convinced your father to keep me collared and weak? When you had Marcus reject me to break my spirit before my power could manifest? I saved your life. Marcus's voice cracked. If you'd bonded with me, the pack would have killed you the moment your power emerged. I rejected you to protect you. You rejected me because you were afraid. I stopped a few feet from him, looking into the eyes of the man who'd shattered my world. And because you were too weak to stand up to your alphas. Yes. The admission seemed to cost him. I loved you, Luna. That's why I had to break you. Love you or serve my alphas, I couldn't do both. And I was a coward who chose duty over heart. Something in his honesty pierced through my anger. He'd been trapped too, in his own way. But that didn't make what he'd done right. The law is clear, Lady Moira repeated. Alpha King Kale has been compromised by a Silvermoon seductress. For the good of all territories, he must step aside and allow us to handle this threat. Handle? Kale's voice was deadly soft. You mean murder. I mean neutralize. Moira smiled. Surely you see this is necessary, Your Majesty. She's already destabilizing your rule. Half your allies question your judgment. The old laws exist for a reason. The old laws exist because my ancestors were terrified of being proven wrong. Kale stepped down from the dais, moving to stand beside me. Not in front of me. Beside me. Terrified that the hierarchy they'd built on violence and dominance might not be the only way. Terrified that an Omega, supposedly the weakest among us, could be powerful enough to challenge everything they believed. Your Majesty. I'm not finished. The command in his voice silenced the room. 300 years ago, my great-grandfather massacred the Silvermoon bloodline. Not because they were dangerous, but because they were different. Because they threatened his power, his control, his belief that alphas must always dominate and omegas must always submit. Kale turned to face the assembled wolves, and I saw the weight of the crown settle on his shoulders. He was wrong, Kale said. And I will not repeat his mistakes. Then you're unfit to rule, one of the alphas growled. Perhaps. Kale's hand found mine, and he laced our fingers together. The touch sent warmth flooding through me, steadying the wild power inside. Or perhaps I'm the first king in 300 years brave enough to admit that power built on fear is not strength, it's tyranny. He raised our joined hands, and the silver light from my skin danced up his arm, glowing brighter. Luna Ashwood is under my protection, Kale declared. Not as a prisoner. Not as a threat. As my chosen mate. The throne room exploded into chaos. Wolves shouted, some in support, most in outrage. Several of the alphas shifted, growling their displeasure. Lady Moira's face went white with fury. But Kale's voice cut through it all, silence. The command was absolute, primal, backed by centuries of royal bloodline. Every wolf in the room submitted instinctively, going quiet. The Silvermoon massacres were my family's greatest shame, Kale continued. We murdered innocent people, children, elders, entire bloodlines, out of fear. Fear that an Omega could be powerful. Could lead. Could challenge the order we'd built on violence and domination. He turned to me, and his eyes were blazing gold. But what we feared wasn't Omegas. It was change. It was growth. It was being proven wrong about the very nature of our world. His grip on my hand tightened. I hesitated before, Luna. When you asked if I would kill you like my ancestors killed your kind. I hesitated because I was afraid, not of you, but of repeating their mistakes. Of being the king who chose fear over love, control over freedom, tradition over truth. That hesitation ends now. He pulled me closer, until we were standing together before his entire court. I don't want to chain your power or control you, he said, and though he spoke to me, his voice carried to every corner of the room. I want to stand beside you and see what you become. I want to help build a world where an Omega can be powerful without being feared, where strength isn't measured only in dominance, where the bonds between wolves heal instead of break. My eyes burned with tears. Kale. I know I lied to you. I know I've given you every reason not to trust me. His free hand came up to cup my face. But I'm asking you now, before all these witnesses, before the moon goddess herself, will you accept my bond? Will you stand with me and help reshape this broken world into something better? My wolf was howling, not in pain, but in joy. She'd known from that first moment in the diner, known what my human mind had been too damaged to accept. This was our mate. Our true mate. Not Marcus, who'd rejected us out of fear. Kale, who'd chosen us despite it. Yes, I whispered. Then louder, yes. The bonds snapped into place like the world righting itself. Power exploded from both of us, his gold and dominant, mine silver and healing, twining together in a dance that made the very air shimmer. The force of it drove everyone back, wolves crying out in shock as the wave of energy washed over them. But it didn't destroy. It healed. I felt it happening, felt my power reaching out to every wolf in the castle. The crumbling walls knit themselves back together, stone flowing like water to repair the damage from the explosions. Wounded soldiers in the courtyard gasped as their injuries closed, bones setting, flesh mending. And deeper, more profound, I felt the corrupted pack bonds that Sarah's parents had been manipulating for decades. Bonds twisted with coercion and fear, chains disguised as loyalty. My power flowed into them like sunlight into darkness, burning away the corruption, setting the wolves free. In the throne room, dozens of Silvercrest wolves collapsed to their knees, crying out as bonds they'd thought were natural dissolved, revealing the manipulation beneath. What is this? Lady Moira stumbled backward. What is she doing? Healing. Talia's voice carried through the chaos, awed. This is what they always were. Not dominators. Not weapons. Healers of the broken bonds between wolves. The power settled slowly, leaving me breathless and shaking in Kale's arms. But I felt complete for the first time in my life. Whole. The silence in the throne room was absolute. Then, one by one, wolves began to kneel. Not in submission. In reverence. Your Majesties, Darius said quietly, and there was something like wonder in his voice. Lady Moira stood frozen, her coup crumbling around her as wolf after wolf abandoned her cause. The alphas who'd supported her were backing away, their expressions ranging from shock to shame. It's over, Moira, Kale said. Your alliance is broken. Your lies exposed. This isn't over, she hissed. The other territories. We'll hear what happened here today, Kale interrupted. They'll hear that the Alpha King took a Silvermoon mate and the world didn't end. That her power healed instead of destroyed. That everything we believed about Omegas and hierarchy was built on lies. He looked at the assembled wolves. Anyone who wishes to challenge this is free to leave my territory. But you will not harm her. You will not threaten her. And you will not spread the poison of fear that my ancestors used to justify genocide. No one moved. Take Lady Moira and her conspirators into custody, Kale ordered. Marcus and Sarah included. As guards moved forward, Marcus caught my eye. I did love you, he said quietly. That's why I had to break you. I'm sorry, Luna. For all of it. I looked at him, this man who'd held my heart and crushed it, who'd loved me and betrayed me, who'd been trapped by the same system that had tried to destroy me. I forgive you, I said. But I'll never forget. He nodded, accepting the judgment, and let the guards lead him away. Sarah fought her restraints. This isn't fair. She's an abomination. She'll destroy everything. She just saved everyone in this castle, Kale cut her off. Including you. Now be quiet before I add more charges to your arrest. As they dragged her out, still screaming, Kale turned to me. Are you all right? I don't know. I looked down at my hands, at the faint silver glow still dancing across my skin. I can feel them, Kale. All of them. Every wolf in the castle, their bonds, their pain, their joy. It's overwhelming. You'll learn to control it. He pulled me against his chest. We'll figure it out together. Together, I echoed, and let myself lean into him. The throne room slowly emptied, wolves leaving with expressions of awe and confusion. Talia remained, watching us with knowing eyes. Your coronation will be interesting, she said dryly. Coronation? I pulled back to look at Kale. What coronation? You're my mate, Luna. My chosen queen. His smile was gentle. Did you think I'd let you hide in the shadows? I'm an Omega. You're a Silvermoon. Talia moved closer. The first to openly exist in 3 centuries. And you've just proven what your kind was always meant to be. Child, you're going to reshape the wolf world whether you want to or not. The weight of that settled over me, heavy and terrifying and somehow right. I'll need help, I said. You'll have it. Kale kissed my forehead. Every step of the way. 6 months later, I stood before the assembled packs of the Northern Territories and let them crown me queen. The coronation was nothing like I'd imagined when I was a little girl dreaming of fairy tales. It was political and complicated, with wolves still divided over whether an Omega could hold power, whether a Silvermoon could be trusted, whether this new world Kale and I were building could last. But it was real. And I was ready. Kale placed the crown on my head himself, his eyes shining with pride and love. Queen Luna Ashwood Thorn, he announced. First of her name. Healer of broken bonds. Light of the Northern Territories. The crowd erupted in cheers, not all of them, but enough. Enough to give me hope. As we stood together on the balcony, waving to the assembled wolves, Darius approached with a grim expression. Your Majesties. We have a situation. Kale's arm tightened around my waist. What now? A messenger from the Southern Territories just arrived. Darius held out a sealed letter. They're requesting an audience with Queen Luna specifically. I took the letter with shaking hands and broke the seal. The message inside was brief. Your Majesty. We write to inform you of a discovery that may interest you. 3 individuals matching the Silvermoon bloodline signature have been identified in our territory, all in hiding, all suppressed by spelled collars similar to the one you wore. They are asking for help. They are asking for you. King Stefan of the Southern Territories. The letter slipped from my fingers. Luna. Kale caught it before it fell. His face went pale as he read. 3 others. God, there are 3 others. I'm not the last. The words came out choked. I'm not alone. Talia appeared at my elbow. She'd been granted a place in my court as advisor on Silvermoon history. This changes everything. The bloodline is waking up, I whispered. All across the territories, they're waking up. Kale pulled me close. We'll help them. All of them. We'll find every suppressed Silvermoon and set them free. I looked out over the crowd, at the wolves who'd accepted me and the ones who still feared what I represented. At the world we were trying to rebuild, one healed bond at a time. They'll come for us, I said. The old guard, the ones who still believe in the hierarchy. When they realize the Silvermoons are returning, they'll fight. Let them. Kale's voice was fierce. We didn't come this far to back down now. I thought about that night 6 months ago, walking into a cheap restaurant for a blind date with the wrong man. How that one mistake, that one beautiful, terrifying mistake, had led me here. To a crown I never wanted. To power I'd been taught to fear. To a mate who'd chosen me when the entire world said he shouldn't. And now, to 3 others like me, waiting for someone to show them they weren't alone. The revolution is just beginning, I said softly. Kale laced his fingers through mine. Good thing we're ready for it. I smiled up at him, this alpha king who'd sat across from me in a diner and changed everything. Together? I asked. Always, he promised. And together, we turned to face whatever came next. The end of the beginning. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe and like this video to continue listening to this type of story daily and also, to appreciate this community too. I would like to know the country in which you are in, listening to this story. Which country is that? Please comment below.